Hello, welcome to the Daily Live. It is Friday, the 23rd of June.
Ned, you failed in your task already.
Ned has failed in his task. There's no chat.
No chat.
Yeah, another quiet day.
Yeah, another quiet day at Everton. Not much going on. Just Everton being quiet and professional as ever. As ever.
It's Everton.
It's terrible.
Well, there is the MSP Capital have injected a $165 million into Everton. 130 million English pounds, if you will, sterling, into Everton Football Club.
Looks like it.
Not confirmed whether it's a loan or whether it's a full injection.
Yeah, well, we don't know.
We're not sure yet.
It's the name of the issuer is MSP EFC Investors LP. That is with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, Form F.
It's signed by the bottom. The two fellas at the bottom will tell you. The two main players,
Jeffrey Murad and
just a bit further off from him. They'll tell you.
A bit further up.
It tells you the two main players basically.
The issuer is the signatures from Jeffrey Murad. Names right, and I'm not seeing anyone else's name.
It is definitely there. He's the next fella down.
Yeah, I don't think there is another fella down.
But you're gonna make me get it. But anyway, MSP, that's in, and with that came a statement from Everton Football Club that basically announced an interim board. Bill Kenwright remains as chairman in the interim period. Colin Chong is stepped up to CEO.
Big Chong
acting CEO. Farah Mashiri is a non-exec director. John Spellman is the other non-exec director, and I forgot the other fella.
James Mearin.
James, that's it. Yeah,
he will take charge of financial matters as the interim chief financial officer.
The other signature is Jam Najafi for MSP. So Everton have put an interim board in place. It does say the statement that it's interim. Obviously, people are not happy. Bill Kenwright remained as chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much for this next period interim. Colin Chong isn't a chief executive on any level. So quite clearly, he's just sitting on that board.
No, that's fair enough.
CEO, as I imagine every single position is. I imagine once this washes out, Farhad Mashiri will come back off the board.
Well, but if it doesn't mean anything, then why is Bill Kenwright on it?
Well, I've looked at it as an interim thing because I believe he will go. I really do. I don't see any way how he could stay.
I can see how he can stay because the club just haven't got a clue. It does not put anyone's anxiety to bed. He had a chance there to say, right, it is an interim, but
do you think he's bothered?
Well, he should be bothered because these people are the people who've been ruining our club. Forget about fans. Forget about people not liking Bill Kenwright. These are the people who have been letting our club down for years. These are the people who came up with the lies in January about headlocks. These are the people who've delivered us absolutely nothing. What right does he have to be the chairman of our football club? Forget about how, pitchforks and all that kind of thing and people's anger. This man has no right to be on our board. The owner saying, I want Bill to remain as our chairman during this important period of transition for the club. I'm delighted that he's accepted my request to do so. Bill's knowledge and vast experience will be crucial for us as we look to reset, deliver on external investments and position Everton for a successful future. Why? What has he got? What has he got that suggests that he can deliver that? Can he? You and John have been talking about like, oh, he might be the best negotiator in the club. Well, if he's the best negotiator because he knows how to wine and dine people to buy players, fine. I don't particularly agree with that. I think he's got a very old.
Hang on. Let's have a little bit of clarification about you putting words in my mouth. Well, you are. What I said was, if the owner was leaving him in place at the moment because he's the only one there that can negotiate, then okay, that's why he's there. That was my own way of going, how on earth is he still here? That's the only way my brain allows.
I don't think anyone should
rationale
it. I think people should talk about and say why.
I am telling you.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying is no one should rationale why he's there. People should just be asking why he is there. The man offers nothing. He is done. And for him to be the interim, and for the owners to say he's going to be very important. He shouldn't be very important. He shouldn't be near our football club. He doesn't deserve to be at our football club. He has not. If he was brilliant and he'd done all these amazing things, then fair enough. But this has done nothing to calm anyone's anxiety on the future of Everton Football Club. And I know there's a lot more people out there who are a lot more level-headed than I am. I appreciate that. But for people to just say, oh, don't worry, it's just an interim thing, that does not calm me one bit. When Farhad Moshiri came in, he almost made out like Bill Kenwright was going to be an interim chairman to get us through a period of time. Well, it's been 7 years and we're still here. And this does nothing, and this is not just fans, by the way. This is people in the media who look in and go, you're messing, aren't you? Really? You had an opportunity. You had 40. You said you were going to be 48 hours. It's been over a week, and you still come back. And Bill Kenwright is still on the Everton's board. That to me it just says the man hasn't got a clue what he's doing, and hasn't got options, and literally is waiting for MSP to come in and get it all sorted because he just doesn't have a clue what he's doing. And I personally. This is my personal thing. I don't think he deserves to be on Everton's board because of the failures that has occurred.
Which one?
Bill Kenwright.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think anyone argue against that.
Well, yeah, but I'm seeing
but
people going, and people saying, well, it's only interim. Interim is still a period during what is a hugely important summer. Hugely important summer. We've lost 4 players from our squad, whether you value them, whether you don't value them. We've lost 4. Ellis Sims could be 5. You've got to replace them before you replace the players that were needed. This is a massively important moment in Everton moving forward. Yes, it's great. The MSP money looks like it's in. That'll go on the stadium. That'll secure that. That's fantastic. But there was an opportunity there to just go, we're bringing in this fella and that fella, and I've had actually months to sort all this out. And again, it speaks at the football club of grab him, Chongi, come here, lad, done a good job.
I said this last week though, when John said last week, if they just wanted to do the interim thing, you could just pull a few people in who were there now and just make it interim. So why didn't you just do that last week then? Yeah. Why have you left it? Why have you left it another 9 days and then you've done that anyway? That's what I don't understand.
They've built it up like something was happening. And yes, of course, it goes hand in hand with the MSP stuff. We understand that. And it's like, well, we can't do nothing until MSP. We know we've got the MSP money. Well, then, what control are they getting then? Is it simply a loan? Are they investing? Are they going to have some kind of control over the board? Are these people on the board just dead ducks? If they are just dead ducks, well, why don't you just remove Bill Kenwright from the equation then? If he really hasn't got any power, then you're not helping. You're not helping the fan base's anxiety. You're not.
When I said, is he bothered? I don't think Moshiri's bothered about what we think. I genuinely don't. No, he should be. He should have been bothered about it to put his own people in place 7 years ago, and then if not 5 years ago, and then if not 3 years ago.
He's not deaf to the noise because he's like, we did the interview with the Fab and stuff. So he's not deaf to it. Doesn't. It's not like he's a million miles away and he doesn't understand the frustrations of the fan base. They're quite clear. It's not just the fans, it's the media and everything else. And have been writing about this for the months. Everton have been back pages of newspapers for months and months and months. So he can't be. To me, this is just. It's just who's asked. Just name 4 people, and I just think it could have given him an opportunity to go. Yeah, this fella, that fella, and I'll be the interim. Even if he was the interim chairman, even if Fad Mashiri said I'm going to be the chairman in the interim because I'm the owner.
I don't think he wants it. I mean, I'm amazed he put himself.
But that's the point,
board.
though, isn't it? If it's supposed to be a small period, then nothing really matters, does it? Nothing matters.
I just think he. Yeah, like I said, I'm amazed he's put himself on the board as a non.
He doesn't know. Probably doesn't know 3 other people.
We didn't need to, did he? Because we'd had the 3 people then, haven't we? If you've left the chairman where he is and you've promoted Colin Chong to CEO and you've promoted the other kid, and then you've got this John Spellman fella who's an accountant, then why has he put himself on it as well? Don't know. I do believe that it is all interim stuff to move to the next thing, because I think MSP. Don't forget, none of these are MSP's people.
Yeah, I know.
And MSP will have people on the board.
But we don't know that, do we?
I think they will.
But we don't know that. And if it's interim, what's interim? 2 months? Next 2 months are huge for Everton Football Club. Absolutely
What
huge.
if they were to say, I don't know how it all works. I'm just talking here as an Evertonian. That's just as a fan of football, business. John's not here, whatever. But what if they were to say, this enables us to get on with our business while this next bit is being sorted, because the money's come in. Now it's jousting for who gets what position. Because Colin, like I've just said, Colin Chong ain't gonna be Everton's CEO. There's not a chance.
I don't actually care about the other people. They're all just doing.
You just want to. If Kenwright would have gone and all these other people had been named today, that'd have been it. Everything would have been all right.
I'd be fine.
Oh, okay. I want him gone, but I wouldn't have thought everything was all right when I seen that.
I don't think everything's all right. It's an interim board, but that to me suggests that when you read that statement, like, it smacks of a man who just hasn't got a clue. I can't put across my disdain for Bill Kenwright.
I don't think you need to. Everyone knows.
I can't have a man at my football club.
But you're gonna have to, because you're going.
No. But the point being is, though, but he shouldn't be anywhere near this football club because of the lies that have been spouted about Evertonians, and he was part of it. For me, it doesn't matter whether he's interim or whatever. It's the fact that he was part of the four board that came out with lies about the fan base, and to me, that's just that's unforgivable. And for him to be, he's the best man for the job, that to me is just, it just doesn't work.
See, I
can't make me peace with it. I'll never make me peace with that. I'll never make me peace with something that has been brushed under the carpet.
I'm not telling you to make me peace.
I'm just saying I can't make me peace with it.
Just that this fear was there last week when he didn't go, that this will be the outcome. For now, I mean, I still believe in all my heart he will be gone soon, because it's the only way that my headspace will allow me to be. Because if I just think he's staying and that's it indefinitely, then what's the point? We've already got no players. We've got hardly any money. What is the point? We've just had 2 relegation battles.
But don't you think
I've got to believe in my heart for me to be able to logically just like discuss this. I have to believe this is part of an end game where he goes.
But the problem is, though, business doesn't move. It doesn't move quickly in terms of, if you put an interim in, but this could be 2 months, could be, and they might go, that's quick. 2 months
is a long time.
Is a long time for what we're trying to build to.
See, my big thing is the football team. I want to get back to talking about the football team.
But we can't while these people are making decisions.
But we're going to have to, aren't we? Because these are the people who are in charge right now, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? We've got to, because we haven't got that time to go, well, these knobheads are still here, or these people are still here, or these amazing people are there. Whatever your viewpoint is on this board, or this chairman, or this owner, whether you think they're a knobhead, whether you think they're amazing, whether you think, I don't care, they're just someone in my team, there'll be lots of varying viewpoints on them. My point is, while they are driving the bus right now, we've got to just hope that Kevin Thelwell and Sean Dyche can do the stuff that they need to do to make sure our football team is able to kick this season off, with a bleeding team and squad that is fit for purpose, as in we get players in. Because ultimately, that's the thing that keeps me up all night, is that where our football team is going to be, where our football team is going. But we had I want a whole new board with a new chairman. Most people want a new owner, but right now you can't you can try to force an owner out, but I don't know how easy it is to do that. United have been trying to do it for years, and they're still there, aren't they? And with Arsenal were trying to do it, and they've come through all that. We need a whole new board. This board is very much interim.
The problem is, for me, it either means something or it means nothing. Having this board, they're either doing work or they're not doing work. So if they're doing work,
I just don't know what
Bill Kenwright's part of that. Yeah. If they're not doing work, then why don't they just get rid of him? And that's my
they mustn't be able to.
That's my frustration.
As in, I don't know, mate. I haven't got the answers.
But that's what I'm saying.
You,
no, that's my frustration.
No, I get it. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Does this mean then over the summer his expertise will be helping sign the players? I don't want him anywhere near these things. I want Kevin Thelwell to handle that kind of thing. And if he's not, then this would have been, if it is just an interim board and it's just a placeholder, then this would have been a great opportunity to go, thank you for your service, blah, 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 name the canal after you, whatever. I just don't understand the rationale behind it. I really don't. I just don't. It strikes again of Machiri going, please, just keep this shield in front of me. Yeah. It's like,
no, it does.
We need to, as a football club, we need to move on, don't we? We need to move on. We do want to move on from Machiri, but we know that's not really going to happen at the moment till things play out. But we need to move on. We got rid of the 3 members of the board last week. And yet, I think most people say, well, the connective tissue is Bill Kenwright. And for me, it just leaves it still lingering. Of course it still leaves it lingering. And we could have had that clean break, and it's still just there.
See, if we'd have
unflushable,
if we'd have been like head of the curve, we'd have done this last week and had the next ones ready to step in, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it's
the fact it got left and it's dragged on.
But again, what's interesting is the stuff about MSP. We only actually know because there's a court document. So there's nothing in the statement about MSP. We don't know anything what's happening with MSP. They're just 2 separate things that have been pushed together. So again, it's that thing of like, we don't. What is interim? How long is interim? How long is this going to take? What is it? What are we getting? These are like, listen. If this was January, I wouldn't give up. Oh, February, sorry, I wouldn't care. But because it is like it's really important summer. Got to wait for the manager to come back from Glasgow, and then get down to business.
It's Raven,
and it's just that expertise thing. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we moving on as a football? Are we going to be it again? And another thing is, I just don't think it makes us look serious as a football club either. I really don't. I don't think it makes us look serious.
No, it doesn't.
It makes us just look like
it was an opportunity, like you say, and we've been saying for a while, but certainly over a week, is that it was an opportunity to fully reset and go, right, we are moving forward. We changed that. We've heard, we've heard the concerns. Things haven't been going the right way, and we now want to move forward. Yeah. And this is a fresh brush, a fresh broom, whatever the phrase is.
And yet it's more like Trigger's brush.
Oh, it's 100% Trigger's brush.
John, sit over there. Put that mic on, please.
Make sure you like and subscribe, please, while you're here. Got 1,000 people watching.
That's your seat.
And 10% likes. That's poor. That is really poor.
That's it.
Hit the like button now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. It's all set up for you, John.
We'll get you on sorted in a minute.
It.
Unsorted.
No, you come in on your own time, John. You're your own man.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of people in the comments not happy.
Let's get, well, as soon as John's put it, Michael, let's get John's take on it.
Everton Viking says at least Dyche's Gladstone moves were good.
He had moves. Have you seen moves? There's no music getting played, so I don't know if he's got moves.
He's just there dancing away.
Oh, yeah, it started today.
Yeah. It started on Wednesday, really.
No, they all get there on Wednesday. The music doesn't start till today.
You say that, but... Gaz says it's gone from 2 board members in Denise Barrett, Baxendale and Bill, who were not welcome at Goodison, to 2 board members who were not welcome at Goodison in Farab and Bill. I honestly think this has made fans' feelings towards the clubs even worse.
I don't think anyone's ever said Farab Mashiri's not welcome. And I'll be honest, I ain't tackling those security guards to make him not welcome.
No. Everton Viking says, hello guys, I know it's stupid, but I can't help but be angry about this. It's all so theatrical, so fake and so stupid. I feel like there's never been a bigger disconnect with Everton and its fan base right now. We have a truly out-of-touch owner. Bill is an utter cockroach who seems able to survive anything. I trust nothing that comes out of this club. They say interim, but we'll see. So angry and disappointed by this failure of a football club. Kevin Blazata says, well, I don't believe a word Mashiri says. It does seem Kenwright's stay is temporary until MSP come aboard. More encouraged by the $166 million being formally filed and discouraged about Bill's cockroach status. Have a good Friday, Blues. Stadium is secure and we likely don't have to rob from Peter to pay Paul for it now. James Wallen said, wouldn't it be so Everton if Mashiri was told by the Premier League he's not fit to go on the board? Bill Cummings says, Bill clings on. It's an absolute farce, but MSP news is one positive. Matt Seddon says, all we can do is believe in the process. Once the MSP deal is complete, I believe Kenwright will be moved aside. Keep the faith, Blues. Bill also says, now can we get some players in? Everton Viking says if Bill Kenwright's being kept on because he negotiates deals, then that's an absolute shambles. We've been absolutely woeful at transfer deals in and out for the past years. So what if he has connections, done nothing good for 20 years? Interim still gives him power, and this is a club that 48 hours means over a week. Interim can mean years. Yeah. And even then, there's no guarantees MSP will be running the club. Let's be honest. Right, where are we? Frank Rogers says, 1,000,000% agree with you, Baz, as long as you have a playing squad capable of competing higher up the table than the last 2 seasons. I don't give a shit who's on the board at this stage. Of course, we all want a new owner, a new chairman and a new board, but until that's supported, I'll still support the 11 players on the pitch. I'm just saying, right now, Frank, for me, players are, obviously this is important, because it's massively important. But the money's come in from them, or it's been filed, which is good, because that means that's progressing. There's a lot of people getting very worried that the MSP stuff had gone quiet. That's certainly progressing. Positive. The board stuff, I just find, I just look at it and go, yeah. That's how I find myself. Just going, yeah. But the team is the biggest thing for me right now, is that I wanna be calmed by the team. I want to see people coming in. Anyway, we've got John Blaine in, and he is mic'd up and ready to go. John, he's on his, on his mate. He looks like that agent, that Skyer man. He's too busy doing other deals, doing
all the
DMs
and stuff. Go ahead, Pet. You question.
No,
stuff.
John,
Water.
Just give us some give us something on the clarity on the MSP stuff then that's coming today before we tackle the board.
Well, if we simplistically say how they operate, venture capitalists, right? They'll have multiple investors, in this case 13, who fundamentally bought, in quotes, stuff that entitles them, to hand over their, call it 10 million quid each, which is quite an insignificant sum.
Yeah.
And, you multiply that up, and then MSP Sports, whatever it's called, that element, will use that money to loan it to Everton for the stadium. I was curious listening to your live thing there, of people who seem to think that the world suddenly overnight becomes a better place when a couple of people we've never heard of, who probably know very little about football, walk through the door and sit on the board of Everton Football Club. You know, when you're making change, you can have revolution, which is go in and shoot everyone and worry about the consequences later, or you can try and transition in a controlled manner. And here it seems to be now the fish and a fowl, because 3 people went and 1 didn't. So clearly it's the start of a transition. It's interesting that John Spellman is a guy who's worked with Farhad Moshiri before. If I was being a bit, mischievous, I'd say he's going to be Moshiri's eyes on the board when MSP turn up. Yeah. And clearly his track record actually suggests he could be a non-exec, or probably not an executive, but a non-exec chair, for example.
Oh, okay.
The stadium, again, you had a live just now with somebody saying the stadium's sorted. Well, the stadium needs about 350 million quid to finish, yeah? And this is only 130 million of it. So it gets us through a cycle of build. I'm not quite sure what the burn rate is on the stadium, but we do know, or we do believe, don't we, that some of the monies that came via Andy Bell, about 40 mil of cash flow was in and around the stadium. Whether some of this 130 would give him his 40 mil back, or whether it's 170 mil in total. And if it's 170 mil in total, that's roughly 50% of the need to get the stadium completed. So I think it's a transitionary process, and it's going in the right direction. As far as Bill Kenwright and some of the emotional observations or colourful wordings, yeah, I think we have to man up sometimes, and recognise that it's not necessarily what the wider fan base wants, but you've got to let the process play out. I mean, the securities stuff that was, registered at the US Securities Commission, which is what people will have read or even downloaded the form and all that sort of stuff. I think that was around the 8th of June. So that was the Thursday before the Monday when the board went. And then today and then the 20th, they executed on that. And of course, people have only seen it today. And then on the 23rd, we get the interim board. I mean, we talked to you and I, Baz, on the sofa in the last weeks, and it's perverse but true that actually sometimes things can look like a plan, whether we believe they were a plan or not. And if you look at that sequence of events, which is fundamentally get your 13 investors, record it at the Securities Commission, confirm to the football club or the owner, the largest shareholder, that you're ready to go. That gives the relief, presumably based on some promises to board members. You can't go until this is done. Well, that's been done now, so we're out of here. And you then have a chair who's the continuity person, if you will, who's sticking around for what is a transitionary period. Now, I think what we need out of the football club, in reasonably short order, I suppose, but not like today or tomorrow, but short order, is some sort of insight on what the transition timetable is.
Yeah.
When will the board change again? And then when it's joined with, I mean, it's an interesting question, because you'd have to really read the statement properly to say, well, is it an interim board, as in all of them are interim?
Yeah.
Or is it a board made of people who some are interim and some are not? Yeah. So James and Colin are clearly interim.
Yeah, absolutely.
No disrespects to the guys, but they're just a footnote.
Of course they
in
are,
the statement.
Colin's not a CEO, is he?
Colin's not a CEO. He's doing a grand job on the stadium, which is fantastic. James was a finance director under the previous CFO. Yeah. And presumably, I don't know the guy personally, but I guess he's competent and stuff like that, because the football club has lots of good people. Yeah. And then Spellman is there as Farhad's man. And of course, Bill is there for a transitionary period. I think the ills of the past and the promises of the past and the undelivered promises, even it's trivial, and with hindsight, it does look trivial, doesn't it? Why someone would insert into a statement, and we'll give you an update in 48 hours, and it turns out to be 10 days or whatever it's been. Yeah. It's just shooting yourself in the foot. That needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
There's no need to hold yourself as a hostage to fortune. Things like this take time. They really, really do. And sometimes when you're involved in them, and I've been involved in the past, things like this, you think it's going to take some things you think are going to take hours and they end up taking weeks. But if you see, the chronology, I think Farhad and Bill spoke personally as recently as Tuesday. What was the date on Tuesday? 20th?
20th, yeah.
Yeah.
23rd today, 22nd, yeah, 20th.
20th, well, go and read the securities paper and you'll see the 20th of June on that paper. Yeah. So you can see that both those guys got together and have made things happen. Pivotal things have taken place, haven't they? And it is interesting. Me and you spoke on the business show, which I don't even know if it's published yet, so it might have had a short shelf life. But we talked about things will happen, and we've been saying on the sofa and on the news desk there for weeks. Oh, don't be worried till we get to July. Well, here we are. Things had to happen this week.
Yeah.
Now it's happened. People can be pleased or unhappy with what's happened instead of being pleased or unhappy with nothing happening. So, yeah, let it play out, guys, and keep the faith. That's what I'd say. Yeah.
I think the problem you've got as well with it, John, is that obviously Bill Kenwright's an issue for most Evertonians now because of what it stands for. But also, we are, we're going into a period where we need players. We absolutely need reinforcements, don't we? And do you believe Bill Kenwright is an interim chairman, or do you think he's here for the long run? Because I don't see any way how he can stay, just from a personal perspective, John, just from my perspective. But what's your view on it? Do you think he's here? Do you think he'll be changed, or do you think he'll be here indefinitely?
Well, the curiosity, right, Bill isn't an interim chairman because he was the chairman and he's still the chairman. Yeah. Okay. My own view is he doesn't want to stick around. He doesn't. And we can chat amongst our mates in WhatsApp groups and say, oh, we heard all that in 2016. That's for you, Barry, right? We heard all that in 2016. No, a different Barry. We heard all that in 2016, blah, 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 right? And so until it happens, it's a bit like a player acquisition, isn't it? Until they can't do it with contract Dave now because he's gone to Man United. But until you saw someone with Dave, you always thought that's Everton, that they could change it right at the last minute. But I think clearly, and we've seen through the process of the Securities Commission and stuff like that with MSP putting their paperwork in and so on, that they're probably not ready yet to put up their two.
Right.
I guess they won't be interim, but let's call them non-executive directors, whatever they turn out to be called. Maybe some of them will be exec directors, who knows? And so maybe the light went on right earlier in the week when Farhad and Bill spoke to each other on Tuesday afternoon that we can't keep waiting for these guys. We need to put something interim in right now, because at the moment, and this is probably what was happening in the last 10 days, isn't it? The story amongst Everton fans was you've lost these three and you've done nothing since. We're rudderless with this, with that, with the other. Well, now we're compliant with the Articles of Association. I'm sure, and we've talked about it, you and I and Ped, that BAU was continuing. And now it's easier for people to believe that it's continuing. So I think Bill is not here for the long haul. I think he'd be gone at the end of the year, maybe, something like that, or sooner. Depends how quickly some of the MSP things happen. It's natural for me, and maybe anyone else, if you can try and detach all the emotion from it, to assume he'll be here to the end of the transfer window at the earliest, or until our transfer dealings are done in that transfer window. So all we can do is let the process play out. Today is a step in the right direction. I think much of that step in perception terms is the insight coming from the registrations of the Security Commission that clearly, and putting the FC in the name of the in the document makes it easier for people to go, oh, that's definitely money that's coming our way, but things should play. I mean, what the club need to do now is Friday as usual, isn't it? Let it settle and people get on the front foot next week. But I've already seen people saying, oh, are we going to hear from our new CEO? I think in Colin's mind, he's still the guy accountable for building the stadium. Yeah. He's not the sort of guy who's going to run the business on a day-to-day basis. So it'll be interesting to see how that is perceived to be going to happen. Clearly the finance stuff, James will have been doing that role of CFO for no other reason as he is the senior finance guy. And in the absence of anyone above you, you do it. Yeah. But Colin's an interesting choice, which probably focuses in on what perhaps the investors think is the most important thing, which was to get the stadium completed.
So if it, I mean, Colin Chong, then, is he running the club or isn't he running the club then? And if he's not running the club, who is running the club?
Well, he's the chief exec, so he's accountable.
Yeah. So
it is what it is.
No. I'm just.
I mean, let's not forget that the way the football club has been run for quite a long time is it in a very narrow hierarchy. You know, it went out bang very wide when you got below Denise Barrett-Baxendale's style of being a CEO, which was very much about empire building and stuff like that, right? So there's very little decision-making experience in that business, very little. And that's not being rude about individuals. The evidence is there for all to see that the organisation lacks decisive leadership and it lacks effective engagement with key stakeholders. Those two things, which we've been banging on about on this channel for weeks upon weeks, if not months upon months, still need to be addressed. And Colin's not a good, per se, public speaker outside of all the stadium stuff, which he's magnificent on. So I think it would be unfair for fans almost to assume he's now going to step into the limelight and start saying, this is how I'm going to run the club, this is what's going to happen, and so on. This interim activity could be anything from days to weeks, couldn't it?
So, just in terms of business during an interim period, what is likely to happen? Is it going to be Is it going to be a transference of power from one set of people to another, or is it going to?
No, not at all.
So things are just going to keep going as they are till they change.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, chief execs or chair people, they don't run businesses. The middle management run the businesses.
Yeah.
You know, the guy who's running HR, or the lady who's running HR, or the lady who's running commercial, or the guy who's running comms, or the guy who's running security, blah, blah, blah. They're the people who do the running of the company. Board members have a bit like government ministers in a way. They have a portfolio. I'm the finance guy. I'm the stadium guy. I'm the sporting guy, and so on. And they're held accountable at board level for their teams delivering the day-to-day activities. Now, what's happened in the absence of Grant Ingles, or Ingles, as the BBC like to call him, Grant Ingles and Denise Barrett-Baxendale, is when those people at the middle layer, which at Everton are called the senior leadership team, right? But I would call the middle layer, when those people need decisions, they go to the board, right? Now, when those people need decisions, they will still go to the board. If they previously reported to the chief exec called Denise Barrett-Baxendale, they now report to the chief exec called Colin Chong. But anyone who thinks that when there's a board meeting, that the person round that table, which includes Bill and Farhad, called chief exec, is running the business, is not in... Because one might argue under Denise Barrett-Baxendale, she wasn't running it either. Because, you know, intercepts occurred with, most notably by the owner, and of course the chair, and you had this stacked on top of each other thing, right? So there's a structural change needed about flattening the structure out a bit, getting more experience at board level, all the things that we might have said over the last 5 to 10 years, And those things are almost, from a fan base perspective, being hung on the hook that's got MSP written next to it. Lest we forget, and be interested to see if we ever see, you know, the plan around this thing is, but the best we can understand right now is that MSP are lending Everton Football Club 130 million quid, thereabouts. And that 130 million quid is intended to be used to move the stadium construction forward in, you know, to its project plan for an opening sometime, you know, next year, right? It's not taking Everton over.
No.
It might down the track, but it's not taking Everton over, is it? And Farhad has brought somebody onto the board who he's been on a board with before. So it's BAU with the chairs having names on them now.
Okay. Clive Long says, I've sat on a number of company boards over the years and having a smooth handover is important.
Yeah.
Help new board members understand why past decisions were made the way they were, to discuss current issues. Bill has to go, but we need to be smooth as possible.
Very wise words.
Okay, so just on that.
Experience-based wise words.
So just on that, John.
Yeah?
So just on that. So MSP aren't taking us over.
No.
Right? Okay.
Not that we're aware of.
No, so I need to just get my head around because when you talk like a transition,
Yeah.
Why haven't we just appointed a new board then now instead of having an interim board? Can you just explain that to me?
You just heard what.
No, I understand that, but why haven't we just appointed a new board then instead of having a board that's going to hand over to another new board? Haven't we just appointed a new board then that are going to be our board?
Let me ask. I will answer your question. Let me ask a question of you.
Okay.
What do you think would have happened if 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, 4 people walked out one door, 4 new people walked in the next door, in a different door, sat down, and said, "We're the board now."
Yeah, I understand
That's
that.
just
No, but
crazy.
I get that, but so when are the new board? This is what I was. So are the new board gonna come in and add to this board?
Yeah, I would think so,
it becomes say an 8-man board.
No,
an 8-person board. Sorry.
Okay.
And then 4 of them or 2 of them drop off. That I just want to know the process. I'm not.
Okay, couple of things, right? Because there's always 2 things, isn't there? Right. One is you can't do change like that.
Yeah.
You just can't. You can try. I mean, look how many times we've tried it with managers, right? Yeah, it doesn't really often work, right? Soon as you're into now my personal way of describing these things. If you have 5 people on a board and you add somebody, it's a new board because things change simply by the addition of one person. Things change. So this is a new board. What's the next event that most of us think is going to happen? We think that the MSP thing is going to play through. They're going to nominate 2 people to the board. The board will appoint them as directors.
Yeah.
And then, even if it's only for a split second, maybe there will be the current board members plus 2.
Yeah.
If those 2 MSP people, for example, and this we can save this because it might turn out to be a bit of Nostradamus, right? If those 2 people who come in turn out to be a new CEO and a new CFO, then you will go, thanks, Colin. Thanks, James. Carl, go build the stadium. James be number 2 man to the new CFO person, right? And we get on with it, yeah? And then down the track, you think, right, actually, transfer window's closed. We've started the orderly transition in the sense we've got a new CEO and we've got a new finance director. We now need a new chair. Thanks for your services, Bill. You wanted to go. You very kindly decide to stick around a bit longer for this transition-y thing. It's done. My mate George or my mate Andy or someone we've never heard of is now the new non-executive chair. And in that moment, you've still got Farhad on the board.
Yeah.
It's not in Farhad's MO generally to be on the board of these companies that he's involved with.
No.
So you can imagine at the right time, he's going to go off. But each time you make a change, it becomes a new board. And actually, if you have an overlap, and this is the answer to your question, I think, Ped, if you have an overlap between the old and the new, you de-risk the change.
Okay.
And that's why you do it that way.
Good answer.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
I mean, like you said, we are right now, in terms of those 2, we are anticipating that 2 other people will come on the board. That's been put out
but
there.
It's only rumour, isn't it?
It is rumour. There's no
rumour type stuff.
Like Andy Bell name was thrown up as well from nowhere.
George Downing.
I mean,
George perhaps has conflicts of interest. So
yeah, but Andy Bell I thought was an interesting one.
It may be. May very well be.
He may end up. Do you think there's a possibility?
For all we know, Andy Bell and George are both one of the 13. For all we know.
Exactly. But what I was going to say was, do you think that maybe there's a position where Andy Bell ends up as either the CEO of Everton Football Club or the chairman of Everton Football Club?
Well, I don't know his personal circumstances, right? Because clearly he stepped back from running his own business not so long ago.
He's an actor, isn't he?
Except, but it,
No, what I'm saying, that was what he was. That's what he was.
Career,
finance.
But that's like saying Farhad's an accountant. But
Got to be clever to be an actor. I know my wife's one.
Got to be better. Numbers anorak.
Yeah.
But and Andy may. I mean, I did it 10 plus years ago. Thought I'll retire.
Is there any truth you're in for the chairman's job?
No, none at all.
Okay,
my work here is done, so to speak. Yeah. So it may very well be he wants the day-to-day involvement of running a business, but the day-to-day involvement of running Everton Football Club is quite shallow in excitement, right? Doing the exciting things are building stadiums.
Yeah.
Acquiring managers, acquiring players, selling players.
Yeah.
So you don't have to run the show day to day. Now, because of the shot across the bows, fundamentally, that Robert Elston got by Bill around the time of Denise was made deputy chief exec, which was behave yourself. I've got a replacement here.
Yeah.
If you remember back in the day when Wyness was around and he was the chief exec, I think Robert was fundamentally brought in to be chief operating officer, right? So I could foresee somebody being a chief operating officer, i.e. they run the day-to-day non-sporting side of the business.
Yeah.
And that's where someone might, like Colin, because it's very process-oriented, it's project management, it's stuff like that. He might go, I can do that bit.
Yeah.
The stadium's finished, I'll just roll in and I'll do that. I'd rather just go and get someone who's done the job before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And perhaps someone who aspires to be a chief exec down the line. And hey, you'd have succession planning then, wouldn't you? So someone like Andy might think, and I don't know him, right?
Yeah.
Being the chair,
who
brings skills and experience, gravitas, ability to make decisions when the chief operating officer or the sporting director need advice and guidance, for me, just makes a bit more sense than he's going to roll into the Royal Library building every day and have meetings with fans forums and fan advisory boards if those things happen. Oh, whoa, shock horror, shareholders. But I think it's more likely he might want to be the chairperson, as George Downing might. So there you go, straight away. There's two guys who could do that job. Yeah. And if both of them are on the board, that's twice as good, isn't it?
Well, what I was going to say was, I've said many times on here that Everton Sports should be double the size what it was. In my opinion, I think more people around the table brings more of a challenge.
Yeah, if they bring the right skills and experience.
You've got,
right.
Don't just throw numbers on.
Right,
but I'd like 8 at least on a board.
7's a nice number.
I'd like people to turn around and be arguing points and being able to sit there and go, the
textbook is a challenger environment. Have a challenger environment.
So,
and I think that's what the club does need at board level to start with. Yeah. And then you allow that to become part of your culture. Challenge doesn't have to be, horrible and personal and predominantly critical. It just says, why do we do that? Yeah. And that's the Substack article I wrote the other day. I think it's out there now, where I talked about trying to foster an environment where saying inside the business, this just isn't good enough, is okay to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But only really if you've got an idea about what will make it better. Yeah. Just sitting, it's a bit like Twitter, and it's sitting on the sidelines, just saying what's wrong. That's the easy bit.
Absolutely.
Trying to fix it is the hard part.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, I'll just read a couple of these, then we've got to go because John has
What time is Sky coming
on Sky, the Sky cameras are outside the door.
Oh, right, okay.
Steve Penton says, no one invests money for fun and generosity. They want a return on the club and stadium. It'll mean profit or bigger investments to come. I concur to that, absolutely.
I think something that people might want to think about, because if you remember, we've had for quite a long time, commentators, if you want to call them that, whether it's people who think they're in the know or blogists or even professional journalist types, right? Saying that, who would invest in Everton? It needs these hundreds of millions of pounds. And who's going to do that? Really? Yeah? Well, MSP have found 13 people who are prepared to tip in 10 million quid.
Yeah.
Right, which perhaps to high net worth individuals, it's not as much money as it is to us. If you can buy 13, you can find 26. If you can find 26, you can find 39. Easily. And if those original, if you like, investment opportunities within MSP, the 130, 165 million US dollars type stuff, if that turns out to be a very good investment for the people who were, if you like, in the first phase,
Yeah.
then obviously those people get first dibs on being in whatever the second phase is, and third phase, and so on. And and getting investment, that's how it works. It comes in phases, right? And so if I'm Joe Bloggs and I invest 10 million quid, and in a year's time it's worth 15 million quid, or even 6 months' time, or 3 months, whatever it is, I'm really happy. And I said, well, you know what? If you ask me for another 10 million quid, I'll happily give it to you, because this time next year I know that'll be worth 20 million, and so on. And then the Twitterati can complain that people are taking money out of the business in the form of profits and dividends and all sorts of things. But that will be us in a better place
I just look
than
through
we are
it.
now.
I just look through it and just think there's lots of wealthy people who want to spend money on football clubs, hundreds of millions, billions, and Everton will be the perfect club to get into without having to spend too much.
I mean, it's one a really daft analogy, right? Because it's just hit me.
Go on, you
right?
wrap it up. Go on.
A really daft analogy. Lots of people watch horse racing, and lots of people enjoy being a horse owner when they own like 1/50th of the damn thing, right? But they still turn up in the winner's circle as an owner. They still go to a racetrack with a badge on saying owner, and they're paying for that experience. And really sad news about the guys in the submarine, right? But they were spending hundreds of thousands of pounds for adventure. And what an adventure being an investor in Everton Football Club is, right? What an adventure.
Absolutely.
Say no.
Right, let's leave it there.
Don't have to watch Sky now, lads.
Yeah.
Lads and lasses.
John's just about to go on.
We've just all done it.
They're going to film for Sky Sports News. He'll be on in about 20 minutes. I think he's on at 2:15. Check it out. Hit the like button.
Just putting John on, not putting those
I
up.
don't know. You might get subscribe if you haven't. I don't know what's going on. Why people continue to talk when I'm talking. I don't know. Hit the like button. Subscribe on your way out. Thank you very much for joining us. Keep the faith. See you later.